working on a Simplex steam locomotive, Part 9, making the front and rear smokebox rings to fit the new replacement boiler. This smokebox needs to be longer than standard because the engine is longer than normal. In this clip I'm showing the original smokebox that came with the new boiler on the right hand side, and on the left hand side is the new smokebox from Blackgates Engineering, expertly rolled and silver soldered by Phil. And here to go with the smokebox are the two rings, the front and rear. As you can see, both of these rings are very different. The front smokebox ring supports the smokebox door. You can see in this clip that the rear smokebox ring is a completely different shape. This will need machining to fit both inside the smokebox itself and into the front part of the outer shell of the boiler. Before I rush into things though, I need to find out where the chimney goes. The thing is, this is a Simplex converted to a Great Western Railway prairie tank. I asked Phil to make this smokebox 5/8 of an inch longer than a standard Simplex smokebox. By using a couple of rulers like this, I can get an accurate measurement as to how far the blast pipe is from the edge of the boiler. It's 2 inches. I will need to cut some holes in the new smokebox. Obviously, 2 of the holes will be for the inlet to the steam chest and the blast pipe, not forgetting the hole in the top for the chimney, and this is approximately where it's going to sit, and as I've just shown, 2 inches from the edge of the boiler will make this chimney fit exactly over the blast pipe. It's most important that the blast that comes from the cylinders up the chimney goes up the centre of the chimney. It's worth remembering that the chimney will not be in the middle like this, it needs to be offset. And even though this Simplex is never really going to look like a prairie tank, at least the smokebox will be somewhere near. This is the original smokebox that came with the new boiler, and you can see it's a good bit shorter. Now it's time to get ready to machine the first of the smokebox rings. I'm going to do the front one, because the back one is a little bit more complicated. The job begins by changing the chuck jaws. I've removed the normal jaws and I'm going to replace them with the outer jaws, and that way I can grip the outer diameter of the smokebox rings. When machining castings like this, it's a good idea to clean them up or fettle them. They've been part fettled, but if you look at this closely, there's a great big lump and it's impossible to centralise the part in the chuck, this piece here. I cleaned up both of the castings using my belt sander. Let the machining begin. As you can see, this front ring is quite a good fit in the chuck. It's running very accurately. I was surprised. You must not take too much off the internal diameter of the smokebox ring at the front. If you do that, then your smokebox door, which I already have, may fall through the hole, which is not a good thing. So you will notice I'm not removing much metal. I'm removing enough just to clean up the inner diameter of the smokebox ring. When machining gunmetal or any other soft metal in the lathe, don't be too heavy-handed with the cuts. I need to get a good finish on the front, because the smokebox door needs to seal against this front when it's clamped in place with the dart in the middle. Here's a close-up of me taking a finer cut, which gives a lot better finish than the rough cut that you see being machined away. The smokebox door has to be a really good fit on the smokebox ring so that the smokebox is airtight. When the locomotive is running, the exhaust steam blasts up the chimney and this creates a vacuum in the smokebox. The vacuum is very short-lived because obviously the fire tubes go all the way into the firebox, but the blast of the exhaust up the chimney and the subsequent partial vacuum in the smokebox draws the fire. If you don't believe me and you have a model locomotive, try running it around the track with the smokebox door open. The final fine cut was taken in reverse, and as you can see, it's giving a really nice shiny smooth finish. Whenever I machine castings, I'm always on the lookout for blowholes, which are very common in castings, and normally if I see a blowhole I stop the machining operation and scrap the casting. Machining the rear smokebox ring. After machining the front smokebox ring, I still have the jaws fitted into the chuck that grip the part like this from the outside because my chuck isn't big enough to hold this internally. As with the front smokebox ring, the casting is a bit rough. This is very normal. There's still some metal attached to it where it was poured, and because of this I cannot get the ring to run concentrically. I could refit the other jaws back into the chuck and then hold the part internally. But this isn't a good idea, and I will explain why later on in the video. All I had to do was tidy up the edge of this ring, and now it's concentric enough to be machined. I always have a soft hammer in the vicinity of the lathe, and this is quite useful for tapping components to make sure that they are fitted into the chuck hard up against the jaws. I'm using the boring tool once again for the first part of the operation. I'm using this to clean up the inner face of the ring. Later on in the video you will see me holding this ring in the chuck by this part. You don't really have to do this because the smokebox ring is right at the back of the smokebox and the inner diameter is relatively unimportant. But I always like to machine this part so it looks good. In this clip I'm facing across the front, first of all taking rough cuts and a final fine cut. Blowholes in any cast component are a problem. Any part that is really visible would need replacing, and in certain circumstances the blown area would be very weak. But in the case of a gunmetal inner smokebox ring, this is relatively unimportant. At the moment I'm checking the machining progress with my digital caliper. The diameter of this rebate or lip on the rear smokebox ring is not that critical. It does not want to be an interference fit. Once this ring is riveted to the smokebox, the entire smokebox should be a nice sliding fit in the end of the boiler. You must not, and I repeat, you must not make this a fit in the end of the boiler where you have to hammer the smokebox into position. When I fit smokeboxes to boilers, I use some kind of sealant, usually something like Boss White, the old plumber's stuff. I try and avoid where possible using silicone rubber. The point I'm trying to make is that if you're going to use a sealant, you need a gap between the components for it to do its job. But the main reason for making this not an interference fit is you do not want to stress out the boiler shell in this area. I had to remove quite a lot of metal from the inner part of this rear smokebox ring. And now it's time to remove it from the chuck and see whether it fits okay. And as you can see, it fits very well. I can easily remove the rear ring from the boiler shell using very little hand pressure. To finish the job I need to put this back in the chuck and machine the outer diameter. And here I'm applying the measure twice and cut once principle, because this part of the rear ring needs to be a tight fit in the smokebox. It will eventually be riveted in place, but if you do accidentally turn down the outer diameter to be slightly too small, you can use some Loctite 603. Here I'm fitting the rear ring into the smokebox. I'm not using Loctite 603. As you can see in this clip, it's quite a good fit, and I'm tapping it into place using a soft hammer. If you don't have a soft hammer, you can use a standard hammer, but with a piece of wood between the hammer and the ring. Time now to see if it fits in the boiler, just to make sure that hammering it into the smokebox hasn't distorted it, and no, it's fine. With the ring firmly attached to the smokebox, it's a great fit in the boiler. I thought that now would be a good time to mark the position for the chimney. I measured 2 inches from the end and scribed a line, then I sat the chimney on the line, looked down the chimney at the line, and used a felt tip pen to make a lot of marks, so now I definitely know where the chimney is going to go. The next job is to have a look at the smokebox door. This is the original smokebox and smokebox door from the boiler that was bought from the steam workshop. Currently I'm removing it and its fittings from the smokebox. In this clip I'm tapping the front ring into place, as you can see one more time with the soft hammer. Once again, as you can see, it's a good fit in the smokebox, but it's not too tight. I could hammer it back out again. In fact, I probably will when I show how to use silver solder to repair blowholes. In a similar manner to the original smokebox, I need to leave the rounded part of the smokebox ring just proud of the smokebox itself. This clip shows me looking at the smokebox door hinges, which are not too good really. The first thing to do is to straighten them on the bench with a hammer, and then make some new fittings for the smokebox to match exactly the position of the hinges. This job is going to be quite fiddly. More about that in another episode. Here you can see the smokebox fitted to the boiler and it's starting to look good. I need to do quite a lot of riveting. I'll show this shortly in a future episode. But that's it for this one. I'd just like to say, stay safe and well, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. please take the time to visit my main Steam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.